Managing people. Let's be honest, it's one of the hardest and most rewarding parts of any leader's job, right? It's like trying to solve this incredibly complex puzzle made of different personalities, perceptions, and pressures. So, let's dive in and see if we can start putting some of those pieces together.
I mean, have you ever been there? You've got this absolute rock star on your team who suddenly seems checked out, or a group of really talented people who just can't get on the same page. Well, these things aren't just random. They're almost always rooted in the deep psychology of how we're all wired and how we see the world.
So if we're going to solve this people puzzle, we have to start by understanding the individual pieces. We're talking about the internal blueprint that makes each person on your team tick. This is really where it all begins.
Okay, let's start with the absolute foundation, personality. It's that stable mix of traits and behaviors that makes each of us who we are. And a great way to think about it is like your mind's unique operating system. It's the core programming that influences pretty much everything you do and say at work.
Now, the really cool thing is that psychologists have kind of boiled personality down to these big 5 dimensions. You've got extroversion, how outgoing and talkative someone is, agreeableness, which is all about being trusting and cooperative, conscientiousness, how dependable and organized they are, emotional stability, or how calm and secure they tend to be, and finally, openness to experience. So what's the big takeaway for you as a manager? While they all play a part, study after study shows that conscientiousness has the strongest link to great job performance.
Now, let's build on that with another critical idea. It's called locus of control. And basically, it all comes down to who someone thinks is in the driver's seat of their life. Someone with an internal locus of control believes they are in charge of their own destiny. They're usually more motivated and jump on taking initiative. But someone with an external locus of control, they might blame bad luck or other people when they miss a deadline. You can see how knowing this one thing about an employee could totally change how you motivate and lead them, right?
Okay, so personality is the blueprint. But the next layer we have to understand is the set of filters that person uses to see the world. This is all about perception, and it's how our own unique blueprint shapes how we interpret absolutely everything that happens around us at work.
And this process isn't just about seeing something. It's actually a 4-step mental journey. First, there's selective attention. Our brains literally can't process everything, so we pick and choose what to focus on. Then comes interpretation. We try to make sense of what we just noticed. Third, we store it away in our memory. And finally, we retrieve that memory later on to make a decision or a judgment. At every single one of these steps, our own personal biases can color our reality.
And that brings us to a really critical filter: implicit bias. These are the unconscious attitudes we hold that shape our decisions without us even realizing it. We might think we're being totally objective, but these hidden biases can have a massive impact on who gets hired, who gets that promotion, and who gets the good projects. It's a powerful, invisible force in the workplace.
And here's another one of those mental shortcuts to watch out for: the halo effect. This is what happens when we latch onto one single positive thing about a person. Maybe they're a sharp dresser or they went to a great school, and we let that one trait create a halo, making us assume everything else about them must be great too. It can lead to some really flawed judgments.
Okay, so you have personality and perception, all this internal stuff swirling around inside someone's head. What's the result? Well, it all comes out in the things we can actually see and measure: their attitudes, their actions, and, of course, how they handle stress.
An attitude isn't just a mood. It's actually made of 3 separate parts that all feed each other. You've got the affective part, that's I feel. It's your emotions about the project. Then, the cognitive part, that's I believe. It's what you think is true about it. And that leads to the behavioral part, I intend. That's how you plan to act. They're all connected.
And when those things are out of sync, or when the work environment just becomes too much, we get stress. And the cost of that stress? It is absolutely staggering. This number you're looking at, that's the estimated price tag for U.S. businesses every year from things like lost productivity, accidents, and people calling in sick, all because of workplace stress. $300 billion.
It's also so important to remember that stress isn't just some bad feeling that appears out of nowhere. It's actually a process. It starts with a demand or a stressor. Then you appraise it. You ask yourself, is this a threat or is this a challenge I can handle? Then you try to cope, and that leads to an outcome, for better or for worse. When you see it as a process, you realize you can step in at any of these stages.
Okay, so we've looked at the psychology, we've diagnosed some of the common issues. Now for the most important part, the playbook. How do we take all of this insight and turn it into real, practical strategies that actually make the workplace better for everyone?
First up, self-esteem. It's a huge driver of performance. And luckily, you can make a real difference with simple actions. Things like pointing out someone's positive skills, giving specific positive feedback, and expressing your confidence in their ability to succeed. Even something as simple as breaking a massive project into smaller, bite-sized tasks can be a total game changer for someone's confidence.
Next, let's talk about engagement. We all want people who are excited and all in on their work. But how do you actually get there? Well, it's not about pizza parties. It's about designing work that feels meaningful. It's about managers having good, supportive relationships with their teams. It's about giving people a chance to learn and grow. That's the stuff that really moves the needle.
And finally, tackling stress head-on. Building a genuinely supportive environment is probably the most important thing you can do. Making jobs interesting and giving people a sense of autonomy helps a ton too. And offering resources like employee assistance programs, or EAPs, sends a powerful message that you care about your team's well-being, not just their quarterly numbers.
So after digging into how deep all these psychological currents run, I want to leave you with one final thought to take with you. Knowing all this, what's one assumption you've been holding about someone on your team, about why they are the way they are, that you might challenge tomorrow? Because right there, that's where real leadership begins.